Students, this is part 2 of our walking animation video. And now what we're going to do is we are going to add all of the body parts for a walking animation. Before we get started adding actual images to our layers and using the drawing tools, I want to point out that I made a mistake. I made a mistake down here on my ground layer. Now, this is not a terrible mistake. I don't need all of these frames on the tubes because the ground in this animation is not going to move. And so rather than paste the same line 10 different times, I'm just going to remove these keyframes, and that's not a big deal. Hey, mistakes, not a big deal. We can learn from them, and then we move on. So I'm just going to click on the frame number 20. I'm going to hold my shift key down. I'm going to go back over and highlight the frames between 20 and everything but the first frame. And all I'm going to do is right click and remove frames. And they are gone. Now what I can do is I can click this one frame, and then I can do the same trick I did before, F5, and I can just expand this out to number 20. Now when I put my ground frame in, it's just going to be visible all the way out to 20 frames. Okay, students, now a word about drawing on your layers. It is going to be important to keep clear which part of the body goes on which layer. It's easy to get these mixed up, so there are a couple things that you can do. You can turn the visibility of the layers on and off to help you see what you're working on. You can also lock the layers so they can't be mistakenly have something put on. So what I'm going to do is just lock all my layers with this little padlock, starting with the top one, and I'm going to lock all of them except my ground layer, because the first thing I'm going to do is put in the ground. And I'm just going to do this with a horizontal line, and I'm going to use the line tool. And like in Illustrator and Photoshop, the tools are on the left. And unless you've changed that anyway, that's where they show up by default. I'm going to click on the line tool, and you can see I've got that little crosshatch to draw. And I want my line near the bottom. This is the ground that our character is going to walk on. So I am just going to go about a half a dozen, maybe 8 squares. And I'm going to start near the left edge, click and drag over to the right edge, and let go. I'm not covering the entire area. At the very top of the toolbar now, I've got my selection tool. I'm just going to use the main selection tool, and I'm going to click on my line, and then I'm going to go over in my properties here and click the properties tab. And now you'll see I have a slider over here on the right, and I'm going to make my line a little bit thinner. I'm going to make it so it kind of stands out. And then if you want to adjust the color, you can do that by clicking where it says stroke. That is the word that Adobe Animate uses for your line. And then I can change that. I'm just going to maybe make it a gray color. There, I have a gray line. And if I click off of it, you can just see a horizontal gray line near the bottom of my stage. Now, that's all I really want on my ground layer. This is a very simple animation, and so what I'm going to do is I'm going to click the padlock, and now I have locked my ground layer, and I am going to leave, for now, all my layers visible. And what I'm going to do is unlock the body layer. What I'm going to do is make a body for my character to walk. I'm going to put that body right here, and I am not going to spend time. This is a very simple animation. I'm just going to use a shape for the body. Students, you may use any shape you like as long as it fits on the screen and allows for arms and legs to be moving. I'm going to use a circle or an oval shape. So over here on the toolbar on the left, you can see I have my shape tools. And I'm going to click and hold, and that's going to open up the menu, and I'm going to go to the oval tool, and that's going to let me select and click it. Oops. It says the current layer is either locked or hidden. Would you unlike? I'm going to say no. Right here, I forgot to change. So I have locked it. And did you see how locking that kept me from making changes to my ground layer? I unlock the body. I have to select the body layer. So that was an important lesson there. I'm going to click on this first frame in the body, and I am going to click again, oval tool, and now I can click and drag, and I can draw an oval. Now I can make it a circle if I want to make it a perfect circle, and I'll Control Z to undo. I can hold the Shift key down, and that will make it a circle. You know, I think I'm going to make mine actually more of an oval shape right here. And once I drag and let go, I've got it right there. I'm going to grab my selection tool, upper left, and I'm going to click. Students, I really don't want the outline. So what I'm going to do is go over to where I'm going to actually highlight this so I get both the fill and the stroke. You can notice the stroke is gray, the fill is that purple color. I am going to select a... Oh, never mind. I was looking for that little... oh, here it is. I can have no color on it. And so now my stroke is gone. I can make my fill color any color. It doesn't really matter. For this lesson, understand that we are going to use different colors for the different parts of the body. At least as we set the animation up, we can go back and change it later if we want. But for now, each arm and each leg and the body are all going to have different colors. So again, it doesn't matter what color you choose, but just understand that the front arm, the back arm, the front leg, the back leg, they're all going to have their own color. I'm just going to go ahead and make this nice falcon green. There we go. By the way, you guys know, if you don't like the color, go ahead and click on it again, and you can change it. Not a big deal. There, my green body. And then click it, and I can move it. And students, remember, I'm going to have legs that move to the ground, and I'm going to have arms that come off of here. I've got some space above me, and this is fine. Again, this is a simple animation. Just understand that you need a little room to move up, a little room to move down, and room for legs to go from the body to the ground. Now, having said that to myself out loud, I think I'm going to move mine up just a little bit. There. That's going to be my starting place for my walk on frame 1. And look at what's happening down here now. Once I added an image to my frame for the body, you can see that this first frame on the 2s here now has the hollow circle is filled in black, and it's a light gray highlight in here. So that's what I've got, my body done. Now it's time for me to add the first leg. And I'm going to start with the front leg. And what I'm going to do is make sure that I have selected my front leg layer. And I have gone ahead and locked all the other ones, leaving this one open. I'm going to click on the first frame, the one with the empty dot, and I am going to draw a leg. And I could certainly draw a leg with the brush tool. And if I chose to do that, I would pick a color and I can just go ahead and draw a leg if I want to. And as I do that, what I notice is that leg is kind of weird. I didn't have a lot of control. I'm going to Control Z and undo that. What I would like to do instead is I'm going to use the pen tool. I'm going to click right where I think the hip might be. I'm going to drag down to the ground. I'm going to click and hold, and you can see I get to do a little bit of a bend. And then I am going to go back to that same vector point and click. Whoops. Control Z. Nope. Control Z. I'm going to click on that vector point. I'm going to pull. I'm going to click and then drag that line a little bit. And now you can see that I have got a leg and a foot. Very simple. And then once again, I can use my tool here. And if I click, and notice my foot didn't get clicked as well. It's not highlighted with these little gray dots. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to shift and highlight that. Now they're both selected. And so what I can do is I can increase the stroke size. Yeah, that looks like a good leg and foot size. And then I can also click and give it a nice color, maybe red for my front leg. Again, remember, all of these limbs are going to have a different color from each other and from the body. So there I've got my front leg started, and I have two objects now. I've got the body, I've got the front leg. Now, what I am going to do is get the front arm in place. I'm going to lock my, and I'm noticing something poking out right here. If I've got something extra, something I left when I was trying to get this to work, I can just select it, and the backspace key will get rid of any objects that you have on there. There, I've got my body, my front leg. I'm going to add my front arm next. I'm going to first lock my front leg layer. I'm going to select the front arm layer. I am going to unlock that layer so I can make changes, and I'm going to select that first frame right here. Think about when somebody is walking. We watched a couple of videos about that. I demonstrated in front of the class. If the front leg is forward, the front, or at least the arm closest from the view, is going to be swinging back. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to grab my pen tool again, and I am going to click about where the shoulder would be, and I'm going to draw a line right about down to hip level. I'm going to click and I'm going to drag, and again I'm just going to maybe give it a little more natural bend, and I'm going to let go, and I'm going to make it I'm going to grab my pointer, I'm going to click and select it, and then I'm going to adjust its stroke size to more or less match my leg. And I'm going to, of course, make it a third color, something different from the arm and the leg, maybe like a purple. There. So now I've got a purple arm, a red leg, a green body, and you can begin to see, oh yeah, I get it. This is going to be swinging arm, swinging legs, and even though these are simple shapes, we sort of set the mood for some motion going on here by adding just a little bit of bend to the image. All right, we've got 3 parts of our walk cycle now. We can if things start to get a little confusing, too much that's crowding us, we can make some of these things go blind. Before I do anything, I'm going to lock that top layer. If I like what I have, I'm going to protect it. And then if it's going to distract me while I try and do my back leg, I just make it turn off. I can always just click that again and make it come back. Whatever's comfortable for you, you can go ahead and do it. So for instance, if I want to more or less line up where my legs are, I can just make my body go blind. So now that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go to my back leg. I'm going to select that layer. I'm going to select the first frame. I'm going to unlock it. Oops. There. Unlock it. And I am going to draw my back leg. So I'm going to grab the pen tool again, click it, and I could put it right where my other leg is, but I also want you to kind of consider that we can have a little range of motion here. A, it doesn't have to be perfect. It's a cartoon. It's an animation. It's not real life. And B, in real life, when people are walking, their hips aren't rigidly straight the whole time. The hips are moving as well. When you're stepping forward, that hip is moving a little forward. So maybe I'm going to start my back leg a little back from the front leg. I'll click right about here, and I will move right to here, not quite to the ground level. I'm going to click, and I'm going to bend a little bit. And there we go. I'm going to let go, and then I'm going to match right up on that vector point, that anchor. I'm going to click, and I'm going to move right about here, and then I am just going to make that hitting the ground a little bit by bending. There it is. And of course, get my selection tool, click on it, and you'll notice I'm going to have to click that foot again, and I can go over here. And remember, we want all of our limbs to be different colors, just so that we can keep track of them. So I'm going to go ahead, pick like an orange color for this, and then I'm going to select anything extra here that I don't need, and I'm going to delete it. And then it's like, I really want that up higher. We can go ahead and we can click, and we can click. And if I need to, notice I have the sub-selection tool. I can grab that, and now I've got my different vector points. I can stretch them a little bit if I feel like I need to. Really, not a big deal. We're just doing a very simple animation. All right, I've got my back leg, and then I'm just going to repeat this process with the back arm. Now I put my body back, and you can see where they all look in relation to the body. We got our front arm, our front leg, back arm. And we have taken, or at least we have begun to take, our first step.